Hi guys, James at Rampant Lion Reviews again for you today with another beer review. For this one, we are going to stick to Hong Kong and we're going to return to a brewery that has now featured on the channel quite a few times before. I've had some really nice beers from these guys over the last little while. They are still a relatively new addition to the Hong Kong beer scene, but they've built up a very, very good reputation for themselves. Their output is quite diverse, they try lots and lots of different styles, and for me, that's always the sign of a good brewery, particularly when they're doing those kind of things in the early days. But the beer we're going to have a look at today is a style that I haven't tried from this brewery yet. This is one that has been highly recommended to me by various people involved at the brewery and other beer enthusiasts around Hong Kong, so this review has been a long time coming, I guess you could say. So yeah, needless to say, I'm very, very curious to see what this beer is going to have in store for us. Hopefully it's another good beer. Hopefully it makes for an interesting review, and as always, I hope that you guys watching enjoy my take on this one as well. So yeah, for this review then, we're going to stick to the Kowloon side of Hong Kong. We're going to go a little bit over to the east of me, to an area called Sam Po Kong, and that means that we're going to have a look at another beer from the wonderful Deadman Brewery. So this particular beer is called Son of the Beach. It comes in at 6% ABV, and this one is a smoothie sour. They're describing this one as an orange mango vanilla smoothie sour. So yeah, this is one of two smoothie sours I think that they do quite regularly. The other one is Frank the Tank, and you will see that reviewed in a few videos time. I think that's a strawberry peach vanilla smoothie sour if I remember correctly. But yeah, this is one that I've been told by many people that I needed to have a look at. If memory serves me correctly, I bought this beer in Craftissimo over in Sheung Wan on the Hong Kong side, and yeah, that's a great bottle shop incidentally. So if you find yourself in Hong Kong, I do recommend that you go along there, sit and have a beer, chat to Akil, and just enjoy some of the stuff that he has in. But yeah, he's always got a very good selection of Deadman beers and various other things along there. So I'll put the link to his Facebook page in the video description below. But like I said, nice to finally get around to reviewing this one for you here on the channel, because a lot of people have been telling me that this is very, very good. So yeah, let's crack on with this one then and see how we go. So as always with my reviews, I'll tell you a little bit about the brewery before we taste the beer. If you want to get straight to the tasting though, just fast forward. All the usual links can be found in the video description below. That's the brewery website, the link to my other reviews that I've done from Deadman Brewery before, and we will no doubt add more to that list at some point in the near future. But there's all the usual social media down there. If you want to see more reviews, do please consider subscribing to the channel. The support that you give is massively appreciated, and remember, you can go into the channel homepage and search for beer using the geography tagging system. So just go in there, use the little search bar, put in your hometown, state, county, province, whatever you like. If I've reviewed beers from the area that you search for, they will pop up. Failing that though, you can check out the playlist of beers from different countries. You'll find this one in the Hong Kong playlist along with a number of other things. That is of course being added to quite regularly since I'm based out here now. And do make sure you check out the playlist of beers from the various different countries as well. But yeah, let's go on to my brewery notes then, and I'll tell you a wee bit about Deadman Brewery once again. So, as I mentioned to you earlier in the video, Deadman Brewery are based in Sam Po Kong in Kowloon here in Hong Kong. The closest metro station, if I remember correctly, is Diamond Hill. But the brewery was founded back in 2018 by Jerry Kuo and Sherman Chan. These guys are both Hong Kongers, and they were old school friends that used to play basketball together very often. But Sherman had a sports bar in Kwun Tong called The Stadium, and discovered craft beer through the salespeople that were supplying him for the bar. But it was after discovering this, he started looking for more interesting beers to serve in the bar, and it was this that pushed him to start looking more at craft beer. Jerry, on the other hand, was apparently exposed to craft beer while in Canada studying veterinary science, and this prompted him to start home brewing, which he used to do on his rooftop. But he then bumped into an old friend on a tour of Lion Brewery who was interested in starting his own brewery, and things went from there. That friend, of course, was Sherman. So the brewery is apparently named Deadman because they say that everyone in Hong Kong is a dead man walking, just because they work so much, they work their arses off. But this plays into the brewery's skull symbol and zombie artwork, which is used on pretty much all of the cans, if you like. But the first beer they produced was the Dirty Pale Ale. This was released back in 2018, and since then they've been pretty prolific actually. But the current head brewer of Deadman is Jason Lee. So Jason studied chemical engineering at Hong Kong University of Science and Technology, and apparently during this course he took a trip to a brewery in mainland China, and it was this that inspired him to become a brewer. So when he got home, he googled Beer Hong Kong and Munzen appeared, and so he joined them as a brewing intern in the summer of 2017. But later he went on to work for Young Master, where he started on the packaging line, and he just worked his way up there to senior brewer. But he then started his own brand of beer as well, called OCBD Beer, in 2020 with his friend Chung Ka Ming, and then he joined Deadman as their head brewer that year as well in July of 2020. But Deadman Brewery operate a 500 litre Chinese brew kit, and currently the brewery is producing around 6,000 litres of beer per month, which translates to around 70,000 litres of beer per year. But the beers were originally released in bottles, but they switched to cans in 2020 after purchasing an American canning line, and apparently they're planning to open up their own bar at some point in the fairly near future. But obviously in Hong Kong, that is quite a heavy investment. You're talking at least 1 million Hong Kong dollars to do that, which is a little bit crazy. But over the years, they've continued to develop new recipes and expand the brewery's fermentation capacity and build up their sales, and the main man in that regard is Ashwan Prabhu, who is known locally as Deadman Ash. Lovely guy, and if you meet him, have a chat to him. You know, he's really, really nice dude. Always nice to have a beer with. Have a pills with him. He loves the Deadman pills. But the Deadman artwork is apparently the brainchild of Jerry, and then the brewery workers, apparently, when they make a new beer, they have a couple of beers and they brainstorm the name to decide, and then the final sketch that Jerry makes is passed on to a professional ghost artist who adds colour and finishes the idea, makes it kind of professional almost, and then that's put on the beer before it's released. But like I said, these guys have built up a very, very good reputation for themselves here in Hong Kong, and as of August 2024, at the time of filming, these guys have produced 65 different kinds of beer, according to Untappd. So yeah, it's, you know, quite a well established but still very much an up and coming Hong Kong brewery in my opinion, but they are definitely worth checking out if you get the chance. For me, the best beers that I've had from them so far would be the 5,000 Years Pils. The Hop Robber IPA is great as well. The Pineapple Express was quite an interesting one too, but I think I preferred Hop Robber in all honesty. But like I said, I've heard very good things about these smoothie sours that they do, so it is about time that we reviewed one of these and had a little look at it. But yeah, that is everything I can tell you about Deadman Brewery for the moment. Again, if you want to learn more about these guys, you can check out the brewery website, you can follow them on Facebook and Instagram to keep up to date with all the latest goings on, and you can check out the Rate Beer, Untappd and Beer Advocate pages to learn a wee bit more about all the different beers that these guys have done. So yeah, let's go on and have a little look at the beer itself. So as you can see, this one is a 330 milliliter can. You can see the artwork on there. The skull dude is just kind of chilling on the beach enjoying his smoothie or whatever. I have to say, I do love the Deadman artwork there. But you can see on the side of the can here is one of the many variants of the Deadman artwork that you'll see. The most recognisable symbol of this brewery is this one here. If the camera will focus on it. There you go, see the little skull? That is one of the most recognisable things of the Deadman brewery. Plain silver top on the can. Quite often they've got these blue ring pulls on them as well. I just noticed that my label on this one had a little bit of a shark bite to it, but it says on the side here, we finally did it, our very first smoothie sour. This orange mango vanilla smoothie sour is zesty and creamy, balanced with the perfect amount of sourness. It is best enjoyed in the hot, humid summer. Try it on its own or mix it with Frank the Tank. That could be interesting actually. Yeah. But yeah, this one obviously 6% ABV, orange mango vanilla smoothie sour. Come to think of it, I don't know if I've had a smoothie sour yet with orange in it, so that makes this one a little bit interesting too. I've definitely had mango and vanilla smoothie sours, but I don't think orange. But let's get this guy out into the glass and we'll see how we go. This is the Son of the Beach, a 6% smoothie sour from Deadman Brewery in Sampo Kong here in Hong Kong. This one's been a bit... there we go, got it. I was a bit worried about that there, because I did notice the top of the can was a little bit, was protruding a little bit, we can say that. But yeah, that looks great, look at that. That is thick as fuck. Damn. Look at this. good. That is good. We might even need to pause the recording for a wee bit to let this thing kind of balance out actually, but that looks absolutely beautiful. Didn't expect quite as much head on that, I have to say. But yeah, that looks pretty awesome. So let me just line this up again so that my OCD is happy. But yeah, you can see the head, it's starting to balance out now. But look at that. So you can see I gave it a bit of an aggressive pour, of course, but you can see 3 fingers of a frothy, kind of yellow tinted head there, which you would kind of expect. And just look at the bubbles on this. This is pretty impressive actually. I'm just trying not to spill any of it, but you can see if I bring that up there, there's little bits of the beer just escaping over the side there. Maybe I need to put a towel down for this one. But yeah, it looks absolutely great, this one. Let me just give that a wee wipe there. But yeah, so as you can see, this beer's poured a lovely kind of mango juice yellow colour. Actually, it looks awesome. So remember, the colour of your beer depends on a few different things. 1, the type of malts that you use. This goes a long way to determining your EBC rating. 2, length of your wort boil is also going to play a role, because the longer you boil the wort, the more the sugars caramelise, and thus you get a darker colour beer. But any barrel aging that you do or adjuncts you put into the beer will affect its colour as well. And when it comes to the kind of the modern sour beers such as this one, then you know, that is obviously going to play a role, especially with these kind of modern smoothie sour beers. So yeah, a lot of the colour in this one will be due to the presence of the mangoes and the oranges in this one. But you can see it is pretty damn opaque, so there is it doesn't actually say, it just says malt, but I'm guessing there will be wheat and oats in this one to give you that big smoothie service. But you can see if I put my hand behind this thing is really damn opaque actually. So yeah, it looks really nice. Not too much in the way of visible carbonation in the beer itself. As you can see, most of that has gone to the head there. Let me just see, is it going to, yeah, if you pop the bubble at the top, it's going to collapse a little bit. We might need to pause the recording a wee bit and just let this thing settle so I can actually get a proper look at the aroma of this beer, because that head is a little bit crazy, but I can see it's starting to form the big bubbles on the side, so it will collapse at some point fairly soon. But appearance wise, nothing particularly surprising about this beer when you consider what style it is, and as I said, not too much visible carbonation on this one, but yeah, it looks pretty good. Let's just pause the recording a wee bit and I'll see if I can get the head down a little bit, and we'll come back in just a wee second. Alright guys, and we're back. The worry that I had with this one there was that the head, such a big head would stop me getting a proper look at the aroma, but it really doesn't actually. So yeah, you can see it has gone down just a little bit there. But yeah, we can get a proper look at the aroma of this one. So let's do that now. We've said everything we need to about the appearance. Let's see how this one actually tastes. I'm not sure how well you can see that, but you can see, I guess it's little bits of like fruit pulp and things like that in this one sticking to the side of the glass. But let's look at the aroma and see what it has in store for us. Yeah, that smells beautiful. As you'll know if you've watched the channel for any length of time, I was a huge fan of the smoothie sour beers that were available in Sweden. The likes of Elm 11, Duck Pond, Fermenterarna, Örebro Brewhus were doing some really interesting things as well. Some really, really good smoothie sours in Europe these days. So it's cool to find that one of the Hong Kong breweries has been doing these, and of course One Drop in Australia, a lot of their beers are coming up here to Hong Kong now as well. So I'm curious to see how this one compares to those. But yeah, just going by the aroma, I've got a feeling this one will be very, very good actually. So I mean, as I've often said, when it comes to these smoothie sours, quite often these beers are very simple in terms of their flavour profiles and their aroma profiles, but if they're done well, they're just really, really damn nice. And I think this one is going to be no exception to that. You've got everything you'd want. You've got that big creamy base, you've got the big fruitiness, and you have just a little touch of kind of green component to it as well. So yeah, let's just break the aroma down then and describe it for you a wee bit more in depth. So the backbone of the beer, you have a little bit of this kind of fresh white bready bread crust coming out of the beer. You're always going to get that in most beers. But then on top of that, you're getting, there's little hints of like woodiness in there. So yeah, there's a little touch of woodiness to it. There's a little bit of like a Jacob's cream crackery sort of thing, but of course there's lots and lots of quite dense and quite sweet white bread. You can smell like a thicker white bread in there as well, which is most likely due to the presence of wheat. But then on top of that, you're getting the oats. You can smell that really nice big oaty creaminess. I often describe the malty side of these beers as being quite akin to like petit filou yogurt. This beer kind of gives you some of that as well, but the yogurt smell is a little bit different actually. So it could be a different type of oat or something like that they're using in this one. But yeah, the yogurty note in this one is pretty interesting. It's a very smooth yogurt rather than being kind of quite sweet. It might just be due to the presence of the vanilla, because a lot of these beers, they'll give you the impression of a vanilla aroma, but they don't actually have vanilla added into them. So the yogurty aroma that you get here actually just smells a lot, it comes across as being a lot smoother almost, and not quite as sweet and sharp. So yeah, aroma wise, this beer is really, really nice in that regard. There's a little touch of that Werther's original butter candy butterscotchy thing coming out of it, but yeah, there's a little bit of that Werther's original butter candy butterscotch, but I would say yeah, for me it's kind of it's more like, yeah, yogurty. Yeah, it's more leaning toward that kind of yogurty petit filou type aroma, but the vanilla gives you a lot of smoothness, so it's a very smooth beer in that regard. In terms of the yeasty character out of this beer, at the back of the nose, there's not too much to report there. There's a little bit of a kind of more dense white bready character, a little bit of kind of bread crusty note, but yeah, like I say, the malty backbone of this beer is overwhelmingly kind of smooth and kind of creamy. So yeah, let's have a little look at the hoppy side of things in this one. So yeah, as I've said before in many sour beer reviews, it's always interesting to ask sour beer breweries what their hopping mentality is, because back in the old days, when, you know, the lambics and the Flanders Radios, what they would do is they would add old hops into the beer that have lost a little bit of their alpha acid potency, so that the bitterness didn't detract from the fruity side of the beer, but or from the sour side of the beer, sorry. But yeah, more modern breweries, quite often with the modern sour beers, they don't add hops into them because they say that the fruity notes will suppress the hops anyway. But some modern breweries like to add the hops because it adds that little bit more complexity. It does say on the can here that there are hops added into this one, so I'm quite curious to see how it's going to turn out in terms of the flavour. But quite often with beers that don't have hops, such as the smoothie sours in Sweden, you can still get a little bit of a kind of green component placebo. So with this beer, I do get like a little bit of earthy character, a little bit of like smooth woodiness, and maybe wee touch of herbal note, but there's some nice floral aromaticity there. There's a little touch of grassiness. Yeah, there is a little bit of that, of course. So there is a wee bit of green component placebo in here, but then on top of that, of course, you've got all the fruity notes in there. So you've got the mango. For me, I think it's giving you the sort of smooth, it's giving you that big juicy backbone, but then on top of that, you're also getting the you're getting the kind of sharper, more zesty character from the orange, but of course you've got wee bits of like papaya and apricot and stuff like this in there, like sort of placebo aromas that you can smell. But obviously a lot of the fruity character in this one is, yeah, orange and mango for sure. But yeah, there are elements of other things that come out of this one, in all honesty. So yeah, the aroma of this beer for me is really, really interesting. So as I always say, just take a little bit of time to enjoy the aroma of the beer before you get stuck in. But I think it is about time that we try this one and see what it's all about. So yeah, this one is the Son of the Beach, a 6% smoothie sour with orange, mango and vanilla from the wonderful Deadman Brewery in Sampo Kong here in Kowloon in Hong Kong. Let's get stuck into this and see what it's all about. Slàinte, skål, cheers, Gambé. Ooh, that is good. That is really, really nice. I'd love to see these guys. You know, one of the big hype beers here in Hong Kong is Mango Sticky Mango from Yardley Brothers. And this beer is easily, in flavour terms, this one is easily as good as that. I would love to see Deadman try some of the Imperial Smoothie Sours, because if they can do this, like this, the lower ones as well as this, I'm sure they could do some of the higher ABV ones very well too, but that would be quite dangerous, of course. But a lot of people have been telling me this is a good beer, and I can see exactly why. Again, it's very straightforward, but it's just very well done. And from the smoothie sour beers, you can't really ask much more than that. These ones, from what I gather, are fairly easy to brew. But yeah, if you get a good malt base, the hard thing about these beers is getting the balance in your malt base right and getting the mix of fruits. But yeah, they can turn out really nicely, and this one is very good. This is really, really good. It's interesting too, because I think this beer, these are only going to get better as Deadman experiment more with them. I mean, their brewer is really quite talented and sought by quite a lot of people. So what I would say to Deadman is experiment with this style category a bit more. Try some Imperials and, you know, some Berliner Weisses, some Goses and stuff like this, and just play with it. Because if this is their first effort, I mean, that's a really good baseline. That is a very, very good baseline. So thumbs up to Deadman Brewing once again. This is awesome. But yeah, it's a really, you know, this one is literally just like a kind of fruity yogurt or something like that. It's absolutely great. So these smoothie sour beers are a little bit dangerous. But yeah, let's just break this beer down then and describe it for you a bit more in depth. Like I said, it's very simple in what it does, but it's great. So middle third of your palate then. The backbone of the beer, you've got that lovely kind of fresh white bready bread crust in the backbone there. That's absolutely great. And it's not too dry either. It's actually just a very light, dry, smooth sort of thing. But as you move further forward, you've got that little bit of woodiness. You've got that little bit of woodiness to it as well, which comes out. But then above that, you've got a wee bit of Jacob's cream cracker as well, which I think is really nice. So yeah, you've got the bread crust, a little touch of cracker, then that wee bit of woodiness, and then above that you start to get all the bready notes. But yeah, the bready notes for me, you can feel that really dense, smooth, white bready character in there. And then on top of that, on top of the dense white bready, but on top of the kind of crackery note, you get that really dense, sweet white bready note in there. And above that, you get an even denser and thicker white bread, and that's going to be the wheat, of course. Then you've got the oaty layer in this one. And the oaty layer, again, it's very, very creamy and smooth. Like down the middle line of your tongue, you can feel the real creaminess there. And as you move out toward the edges of your palate, it just gets a little touch drier. But like I say, it is very, very creamy, of course. But yeah, in the dead center of your palate, or on top of that oaty layer, or maybe within it, the whole mix of this bready, you know, the barley malt bread, the wheaty bread, and then the oaty kind of creaminess, that all mixes together to give you this really yogurty type vibe to the beer. And you can feel that the vanilla feels as if it's infused throughout all of that. So yeah, that's really interesting. But definitely on top of the oaty layer, you can feel there's a little circle in the middle of your palate there. And that gives you, that little circle there gives you a wee bit of a, yeah, it gives you a little bit of a kind of, it gives you that little bit of like vanilla So it gives you that little bit of like Werther's Original butter candy, butterscotchy type flavour, and that is of course the alcohol in the beer. So you're getting that little bit of Werther's Original butter candy, butterscotchy sort of thing. But the whole vibe in the middle third of your palate here is just like yogurty. It's like a vanilla yogurt, and I really like that. I love vanilla. No, I was getting a bit of gas from this, but yeah. So I think we said everything we need to about the middle third of your palate in this one, and it's quite straightforward as I said. Let's go to the back third of your palate then. The border region between middle and back third of your palate. You get that nice little bit of bready build up in there, and of course, yeah, you can feel the barley malt, the wheaty character, and the more oaty notes above that. So I've often said the back third of your palate will give you very similar flavours to the middle third of your palate at different intensities. But remember, sweeter flavours come out further forward on the palate, more dry and bitter flavours come out further back. But yeah, the base of that, the base of the back third of your palate, you can feel that the base of that back third of your palate, you can really feel there's a nice kind of the bread crusty character there is just a little bit drier. Then you've got the crackery layer, then you've got the barley malt bread, which was a little bit lighter, taller and more airy. The wheaty white bready character feels a little bit lighter, taller, more airy, and you can feel some of the just slightly drier aspects of the oak kind of creeping over the top. And then you've got all the yeasty character sitting on top of that, on top of the back third of your palate there. So let's look at that yeasty note. So yeah, the yeasty side of this beer, for me, is quite nice. Like in the dead centre, you can feel there's a little bit of a kind of white bready, kind of more dry, grainy white bready sort of thing. And then around the edge of that, you've got a more kind of yogurty type note in the very edge. There's like just almost a little bit of a sweeter yogurty character as well. So the yeasty side of this beer is pretty interesting too. But definitely, yeah, back third of your palate, you can feel the flavour is taller. Then as you move further forward into the middle third of your tongue, it just kind of condenses down and squashes together that little bit more. But yeah, let's go on to the green component then, and then we'll go on to the fruity side of the beer. So yeah, I think the ingredients in this one, I'm not convinced, I have to admit that, I'm not convinced when I taste this beer that there are hops in this one, unless the fruity character is so potent that it's just suppressing it all, because the sides of your palate are very, very smooth. But nevertheless, you do get a little bit of green component flavour in there. There's a little bit of a very slight earthiness, there's a little bit of woody and herbal note there, and yeah, as you move further forward into the aftertaste, there's a little touch of floral character and a wee bit of grassiness coming out of this beer. And as I say, that's really quite interesting for me. So yeah, on top of that though, yeah, you can feel the mango particularly is just suppressing all of that fruity side, all of that green component actually, and it's really interesting how it does it. But as I say, this is a beautiful, beautiful beer. I've certainly enjoyed this one. But yeah, let's look at the front third of your palate then, and the fruity side of things to round off the tasting section. So yeah, the border region between front third and middle third of your palate, you get a nice little bit of bready build up in there. You can feel the base of that front third, the base of that part of your palate there, you can feel, yeah, there's the barley malt in there, the more kind of wheaty bready character, then the oaty creaminess on top of that, and the base of your front third of your palate, yeah, bread crust, cracker, barley malt, white bread, the more dense wheaty character, then the smooth oat, and then the vanilla, of course, is coming out of all that too. The fruity juiciness of this beer sits on top of that. So let's look at the kind of fruitiness and the impact flavours, because this is a sour beer, of course. Smoothie sours are that little bit sour, of course, but this one isn't too sour. It's more kind of sweet and creamy rather than anything else. Yeah, so the impact flavour of this one, as I say, it is just, this beer is really just like drinking yogurt, to be quite honest. So yeah, when you take the beer in, you can feel at the back of that front third of your palate, you can see that's where the little bit of sharpness kind of comes in. But yeah, of course, it's mango and orange that we're talking about, but there are wee elements of like apricot and papayas and stuff like this. Maybe a little touch of oily pear as well. You can feel that sitting on the base of the front third of your palate. But yeah, it's kind of engulfed by the smooth, juicy mango, and the sort of bit of zesty orange just sits a wee bit more. It just sits a little bit further forward on the palate actually. You can feel it just sits behind that kind of front tip of the tongue. But all in all, the way that this one kind of goes together is great. It's such an enjoyable beer. It's very simple. Like, it's nowhere near as complex as some of the other stuff you're going to get from Deadman, but it's just, as I say, it's just really, really nicely done, and it gets a big thumbs up from me. So I certainly wouldn't hesitate to drink this again, and I have to admit, I am very tempted to get another can of this one and another can of Frank the Tank and do that mix and just see how it turns out. But yeah, this is lovely. This really is very, very nice, actually. So yeah, I think that's everything we need to say about the flavour of this beer. Let's round off with a wee quick look at the mouthfeel. So yeah, mouthfeel wise, this beer, yeah, smoothie sour. It's kind of mid-range, full-bodied. Carbonation is virtually non-existent. It's a big, smooth, slick, like drinking yogurt, creamy sort of thing. Your IBU is going to be virtually 0 in this one, maybe 5 at the absolute most. The malt, as we said, has a touch of dryness underneath, smoothness in the middle, creaminess on top, and then a little bit of sweetness into the aftertaste. Then yeah, you've got that big juicy fruity character and a little bit of a kind of zesty note to it later on as well, and just a wee touch of green component as well. But all in all, it's a lovely, lovely beer, this one, and I certainly wouldn't hesitate to drink it again. It does make me very curious to try the Frank the Tank, so maybe I need to film that review later on today and just see what it's like. But yeah, this has been a really nice one to review, and big compliments to Deadman Brewery for this. I can see why quite a lot of people were telling me I need to try this one. But yeah, let's leave it at that for this review. So yeah, once again, thank you for watching my beer reviews. Until the next time, please like, subscribe, share, all the usual YouTube stuff. Let me know your own thoughts on this beer in the comments section below. Let me know what your favourite beers are from Deadman Brewery as well, and we will definitely return to these guys again at some point in the fairly near future. I've got 2 cans in the fridge to look at from these guys, and I'm sure there are a few other ones from their core range that I need to have a little look at as well. So we'll check out those. Until the next time, slàinte, skål, cheers. Check out my social media, check out Deadman's social media, and try some of their beers, especially these smoothie sours. These ones are very, very good. Next time, slàinte, skål, cheers, and catch you guys again later.